Hi everyone, welcome to the Tropic Marin channel. My name is Sam Nietzer. I'm a researcher at the University of Oldenburg here in the beautiful city of Wilhelmshaven, but also CEO of the SciReef, the new company that has the aim to produce corals sexually for the aquarium trade, meaning for you. And we're already doing this. We're here in the new facilities that we recently set up, and there is videos about the setting up the facility, about the facility itself here on this channel, so feel free to check them out. Right now I'm standing in front of one of the newer systems that we recently started, and the corals in here are all bred from eggs. So these are made in Germany corals from second one of their life, different life ages. Some are 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, and just a few months old. So in this facility we are still optimizing methods to rear them fast, to grow beautiful colors, morphologies. They're going to be nice and healthy. And this facility here has been set up just a few months ago. And then successively we started to cycle the systems. We needed to cycle the system for the parent corals very quickly. We only had 2.5 weeks from putting water in until when the mother colonies came from Australia. So that was a pretty tight schedule, but it worked really well. And for this system here, it only has been running also for a few weeks, and the first of the acros came in shortly after 1 week basically. Now that it's in a commercial context, time is money, so things need to go fast. And so far it's been working wonderfully. And yesterday we prepared the next system that's to go online next week. It's the plan to fill it with water to start the cycling, so the baby corals can move in here fast, because right now they're still in their initial tanks and they need to move into the big rearing tanks soon. And here we installed the new lights. That's a very new product. It's not on the market yet. It's from the company of B-Specs, from Stefan Imke. The B-Ocean light. There's videos about these lights and the control system here on the channel, and there's more coming, so feel free to check them out and stay in the loop. So now we have the lights, we have the filtration system. There's also videos about the filtration system. We use the drum filters from Spranger, which is a really neat technology to remove sediment from the water. All the new devices that are not yet on the market or just launched, we're presenting here on that channel as well. So now we got the technology more or less set up, and water is going to get in here soon. So the cycling starts, and the cycling is always a phase that a lot of people experience a lot of anxiety and uncertainty about water parameters going up and down, fluctuations and algal blooms and bacterial blooms, and it's kind of a pain sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. So now I briefly want to talk about how we do it here. When we start a new system and we fill it with seawater, we add live rock. You can cycle a system without live rock, no question about that, but I'm still in the camp of live rock is a wonderful thing, especially if it's good quality. It comes with a risk, but if you have really good quality live rock, that's just wonderful for quickly starting a system. So we put in the live rock, and then I usually don't wait long. Within just basically a matter of days, the first corals move in. It's usually the hardy ones like Colastria, certain Montiparas. So to get everything going and get a coral-friendly micro-growing. We also add quite a few nutrients in the beginning to make sure there is enough nutrients for the bacterial communities that are developing, enough nutrients for the corals, so everything has a good boost in the start. Of course, you need to monitor really closely. You have to check it every day. Basically, some days we test the water multiple times in-house, so like ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, alkalinity, calcium, all that is being monitored really closely. And of course you have to keep a really close eye on your animals to see how they react, if everything is good, if they might run into problems that you might need to counteract. When cycling the tank, it's really important to keep a close eye on the corals, keep a close eye on how everything is developing, the bacterial situation, but of course you will have algae growing that you might not want to have in there. So we always add the usual suspects for starting the system, like the cleanup crew. For the grazers, I really like to use the sailfin mollies. These are great against diatoms, but also like tangs, like the scopas. We have hermit crabs, we have snails, we have a sea hare that hops around here. You need to have the right community to get the ecosystem to develop in the way you want to have a functional coral reef ecosystem in your tank. We also add certain products to keep the conditions good for our purposes, and we have some of these products here that we use for cycling a tank. And surprise, They're all from Tropic Marin. And we start with a nitribiotic. And this product is actually live bacteria. So it's nitrifying bacteria that come in a bottle. It's a live culture. Nitrifying bacteria, they turn the nitrogen compounds from like protein, everything that's being broken down into ammonia. They transform it further into nitrate, and then the denitrifiers can remove the nitrate from the water column. So that is really important for the nitrogen cycle. So these bacteria are really supportive of the nitrogen cycle, and that's why we use it right away in the beginning. You can put it in your sump tank where you have filtration materials for the biofiltration. The live rock is in there. You can put it in the tanks themselves. And aside from the nitrifying bacteria, there's also probiotic bacteria in there, which are beneficial bacteria for the health of the inverts of the fish. So it creates a more cozy microbial community in your tank. So that is something that we always use. I mentioned we run higher nutrient levels, so we make sure there's enough phosphate in there, there's enough ammonium, there's enough nitrate, so you don't run into deficiencies quickly, because then it kind of stalls your cycling process. And to add nutrients, you can use Plus NP. It's a product that contains, as the name says, nitrogen and phosphorus in different forms that are then available for all the bacteria, for the corals. One product or two products that I'm also really fond of is the phos-start and the phos-feed. These products allow you to add phosphate in a particulate form, meaning like in a solid form. It's little particles that are being taken up by the coral themselves. And inside the coral, so don't inhale it, it might cause coughing. So inside the coral, these particles are broken up into basically the phosphate is then in a dissolved form inside the coral and can be utilized by the coral, but also the other bacteria and inverts and whatever might take up the particles. The phos-start is designed for newly started or cycling systems. It contains the particulate phosphate. But in addition to that, it also contains an extra dose of trace elements. And trace elements are really important for the growth and development not only of the corals, but also the microbial community in your tank. You have to imagine a fresh tank is basically a clean slate for everyone who wants to grow there. So a lot of bacteria can grow exponentially, like really fast. Every surface in the ocean, basically every square nanometer is covered in bacteria. So a clean new system is just very inviting for all sorts of bacteria. So we try to steer it in the right direction, so we have the beneficial microbes developing there and not the detrimental ones, not the detrimental algae. So that's a way to nudge it into the right direction. And trace elements are really important for the metabolism. As I said, not only the corals, but bacteria. They are used in enzymes, these little machines that make proteins that turn compound A into compound B and so on. So this gives you this little extra boost of trace elements, and then you can use the phos-feed. There is also a video on this channel about the phos-feed or the particulate phosphate products where we elaborate in more detail what is actually happening when you add it. So with this you can then continue to supply phosphate in a targeted way without adding the dissolved phosphate. The dissolved phosphate is also a great source of phosphate, but it's for everyone. Also algae, all kinds of bacteria, everyone can use that dissolved phosphate. And with the phos-feed, you can deliver it in a targeted way to your corals. There is one thing, of course, that is absolutely crucial. It's to monitor the water chemistry. And we do a lot in-house with the usual titration tests, like alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, nitrates, and so on. Phosphate you can also monitor with a test kit you have at home. But monitoring all the trace elements and all that is a bit more intricate. I'm sure every one of you knows the ICP technology that has been around for many years now. And behold, there is something new I want to present, and it's also on the channel already, so that video should already be available. Ta-da! Tropic Marin also entered the ICP.
Wrong side, man.
Oh! So this ICP test kits by Tropic Marin, it comes in two varieties. One is the ICP water analysis test that measures every relevant element that you can measure with the ICP, and then you get a report with the concentrations. And then we have the ICP water analysis plus. As you can imagine, the plus implies there is something extra. So you get quite a few parameters that cannot be measured with the ICP, like fluorine, different compounds like nitrate, nitrite. That is being measured with other devices basically. There's up to 5 devices involved in analyzing these samples. So with these ICP analysis, you get a complete overview of what is happening in your tank on the side of chemistry. I can only recommend to really, especially new systems, to monitor closely to get to know the processes, what is happening in your tank, and to get a good grip on your water chemistry to A, not run into deficiencies, and to B, make sure there's nothing building up that it might be toxic. So with all that, cycling a system shouldn't be a scary undertaking anymore. So I hope that video was fun and informative. Yeah, happy cycling and see you next time. Bye-bye.